get a daggone bottle and put some water into it. So I got some water.
Okay, sure.
Going a little crazy. That happened one time we were doing it before.
No problem. Okay, we're informal, especially on Saturday night.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So, we're here with Rich Stevenson, who stepped away to get some water, who's going to talk about a lot of the work he's done as an independent. Well, I'll wait till Rich comes back, let him tell a little bit more about himself. But so tonight I just thought we would talk some about, well, the importance of running as an independent right now. And there are a couple great articles that came out recently. Let's see here. Disobedient Media by Elizabeth Voss. It was a fantastic article about Tim Canova's race and about Ocasio-Cortez and just, well, how damn disappointing it is what's happening there. People are right to be, suspicious of the Democratic Party just co-opting candidates, that sound progressive and just suck them into the machine. And, the stuff with Andrew Gillum already, it's nauseating. So, anyway, okay, I'll let Rich, you want to start? Introduce yourself and tell you ran as a Green, right? Before, like, years ago?
Well, I've been in politics a long time. I started back about the late 80s.
Uh-huh.
I worked as a contract draftsman, and I did that for about 20 years. And I got laid off quite a bit because of, well, whatever. And, pardon me.
Yeah, take your time. No worries. We're laid back.
Okay.
Here on Saturday.
Well, anyway, I started back then. I was Jack Gargan did a thing called Throw the Hypocritical Rascals Out. He was a financial advisor, and he took about $50,000 of his own money and took out a full-page ad in the New York Times that said we should term limit every congressperson because they were not doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my websites, actually, the throw the hypocritical rascals out. Mm-hmm. And then Jack sort of during his campaign, he invited Ross Perot to come down to Florida for a meeting he had set up, and Ross Perot spoke, and Ross Perot listened to what Jack had to say, and Ross Perot adapted what Jack was saying, and that was the basis for his campaign. That was his campaign. Mm-hmm. All the campaign points that Ross Perot ran on came from Jack Gargan, So, and so he ran in 1992, got 21% of the vote. Mm-hmm. And in 96, got 6% of the vote because people started getting all very specific on issues, and they split people up, and there was just many fragments because of the issues split people up. Mm-hmm. And they quit because really the things that people want to change. About 90% of the people in this country agree on almost everything, about 90% of all issues. But there's about 10% of the issues that people do not agree on. In fact, they would fight each other to the death over, like abortion, gun rights, the controversial issues.
Right.
And one thing that the United We Stand America and later on the Reform Party decided we would not get involved in the social issues because it was too divisive. But we had people from every corner of the political spectrum were in the Reform Party, were in the United We Stand America movement. Mm-hmm. And you started talking about abortion, gun rights, you started talking about some of those kind of issues, communism, capitalism, whatever. Mm-hmm. People that there's things that people disagree on that it just splinters people. You want to concentrate on the thing. You basically want to reform the political system, so that you have take money out of the system, so that that's not what drives the system.
Right.
Take term limits, so you don't have a bunch of old gray-haired men like they have on the Judicial Committee in the Senate. You know, you see all these guys, nothing but a big sea of white hair, man. You know, well, I'm 76 years old. I got to be. I had no room to speak about white hair.
Well, sometimes we should listen to our elders, but yeah, we should have some variety.
We need some younger people, though, in politics and in office, you know, so that's a lot younger people, you know, and after seeing what's going on with the Me Too movement and the way women are treated in our society, we need to have about 50% or more of the people in elected office should be women. Just like in our population, you know, we've got about maybe 10%, maybe at the most, in almost any legislature you can name. But anyway, I got involved in that. I got involved in getting pro on the ballot for president in Ohio back in '92, and then again in '96, and they decided to set up the Reform Party. That was in 1997. Had a convention out in Kansas City. Went out there. We had another convention in '98 down in Georgia. Another convention in 2000 in Long Beach, California. I went to all of those. It was very interesting to see democracy at work. We had good parliamentarians there that helped make the meetings run very smoothly and very effectively. You know, so it was very educational experience to see how things can be done and how things can work. You know, or can be made to work.
How do you think the media's role, or actually, you know what, Rich, while we're not talking specifically about do you want to stop share just for a minute? Because we're on, we're a little tiny right now. You're talking about, there you go.
You know that.
That's okay. We can go back to that. So how would you say, I mean, I remember I was in my 20s in the 90s, but, you know, I guess I was paying attention, but certainly not like now. I mean, how would you say that the way that the media operates now has changed? Like, do you feel like people are more divided? Do you think? Because I feel like the media feeds that. What's your experience if you compare?
Well, I think social media and YouTube and some of these things and emails and Fox News and CNN, the big divide between the right and left. And, you know, that's one of the things. When a guy, my dentist up in Cincinnati, he had a dad who I told him back in the 1930s, he said, the American people agree on 90% of all the issues. And that's where one of the places I got that idea, and I think it's true. You and I, and almost anybody you talk about just economic issues, and things should be fair, things should be distributed so that people have a good life. That's the main thing, to have everybody have a good life as much as possible, you know. And people agree on that. They, you know, the golden rule, doing to others as you would have them doing to you. That's people, the American people believe that. You know, it's not just religious, it's an ethical thing, you know.
Right. Well, that's kind of the premise of the Contract for American Renewal, the CFAR, is it's not 90%, but, you know, each item on there is, you know, supported by majority of Americans. So,
yeah. Right. And I think probably it'd be, it might even be more than that if you really got the discussion to figure out what people were they're little, people can get nitpicky on specific issues too, and try to get divided, you know, by very small split hair kind of things, you know, within an issue. But anyway, about 80%, 90% of the people agree in general on almost everything. And the political parties, what they do is they take the 10% that's contentious, and then they divide people up so they can get a majority of the vote, so they can become elected, so they can collect money from the special interests, so they can stay in office. You know, that's what it is. That's just a simple thing. But it's actually the way it works. If you're an old man like me, you've been seeing it long enough, and said, "Hey, that's the way it is."
Right. Well, that's why I love hearing from you about all this stuff. So, do you want to go back to sharing the screen and show some of the stuff you worked on? And
okay, let's do that.
Because what we're gonna do, if anybody's listening, CFAR and CWAC candidates, we're moving into, obviously now the Democratic primaries are over, so we're going to be moving into talking to our independents and Greens. We haven't talked to that many independent candidates, but we have some, like Tim Canova and Sander Hicks that have, had run as a Democrat and switched. And I'm wondering if we might see more of that. And I'm wondering, Rich, if some of your, work that you've done might kind of help people see that as a possibility, I think we're a long way from having everyone sign and agree to never vote for Republican or Democrat again. But, I mean, if we can start to get people to see that as a real possibility that independents can win, that's where we need to go. I mean, we have so few. But anyway.
Well, right now, that's with money in politics, we need. Well, that's one reason that money we don't have. What we have, 40% of the people in this country have a net worth of minus $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the people who are not represented. That's the people who've given up on the political system. And what we need to do is have a structure from the bottom up that in every precinct in the country, which every precinct is about 200 to 700 or 900 people. That's how big precincts are. They vary about from 200 to 900 or something like that. What we need to have.
Yeah, this is a great cartoon here. Actually, let me move this out of the way so we can see this better. Do you want to just scroll down?
Scroll down?
Yep, just so we can show the cartoon. This is a great. I've seen this.
It's totally on my screen.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay.
It doesn't look bad on yours, or
No, it's okay. Well, yeah, just scroll down a little bit. It's probably, who knows? It's just the way OBS is capturing.
There's Fred. There's Sally. There's.
So wait, can you?
Two-thirds of eligible voters don't vote. That's a fact, and this is not. This cartoonist, I don't know what all research he did to ascertain that, to make or where he got his numbers, but Nick Anderson, and he was with the Houston Chronicle, and this cartoon was put out on November the 4th of 2014. That was probably election day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I first actually...
I've got November the 14th is when he did the cartoon. No, it's 04 on there, isn't it? Oh, I have that wrong.
Well, we can't see all of it, but that's okay.
Yeah, it says 11/4/14,
Oh.
And I have it down here on this page. I had it down, cartoon by Nick Anderson, November the 14th of 2014. I need to change that. Another darn edit. My God.
That's okay. I think you're doing a good job, Rich. I mean, it's a lot to learn.
Anyway, that's very true. This has been true for many, many, many decades, actually, that people just don't come out to vote. You have... I have a thing up in 1998. I got a election report out in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's Hamilton County, Ohio, and 15% of the people are registered as Democrats. 15% are registered as Republicans, and the rest are registered as nonpartisan.
Right.
And it's 70% of the people are registered as nonpartisan, or are not registered in a party.
Right.
So, and this is something from my talking to people all over the country. Most people, they register in a party so they can vote in the primary.
Right.
And they're not there because they support the political party. They're there because they want to have a voice, and that's the only voice they can get under the current system. Right.
So open primaries seems like a good answer to me. I've heard people argue against it. I personally think that's a good idea. It makes sense.
Well, one thing, if you had 70% of the people are pretty agreeable, and they're pretty moderate, they're pretty laid back, and they say they just want things to work, they just want things to be good for most people. And so you have a huge number of people vote, and they voted in the Democratic primary and the Republican primary. Those candidates would tend to be less off to the left or off to the right. They would tend to be more in the middle. They'd be more moderate.
I think we've just reached a point where, maybe on some social issues, like you said, abortion, But I think how do we even define the middle or the left or the right anymore? I think the biggest thing to recognize is that the establishment does not want those groups to meet somewhere on the other side, you know? Because if they do, they'll realize, oh, like I talked about this I think last week or the week before. I had seen on Fox News. I don't watch it. I just see clips from all cable channels. It was what's his name, the bow tie guy. Oh, darn it, Tucker Carlson. Talking with someone, and they were just murdering the word progressive to make sure that word started sounding, like socialism, like they wanted to equate it with that's the far left, and not to make sure it didn't maybe register with any of their viewers that, hey, what does that actually mean? Like, it's populism, really.
Right.
So I think there's that great effort to make sure that the masses don't sort of get together and go, like your cartoon here, and see, wait, we actually agree on a lot of stuff. So, yeah, that would be dangerous. So do you want to, because I don't want to leave it too long on do you want to go to the next page and talk about stuff, or do you want to go back to the boxes to us, or do you want to talk about more of your other?
Well, we can do that. It's sort of hard. I haven't got it really figured out exactly how to do things on the screen.
I know it's kind of tricky. Don't worry.
Stop, share. Let's see. What have I got on here that can share? Well, one thing is I think it's pretty interesting. This is get that into this is a document. This is on how to edit IVA web pages.
Okay, so do you want to come from the top? Just
go ahead. Well,
just sort of introduce the concept. Like, I don't know if we have anybody that's watching that hasn't seen this before or doesn't know.
Well, the IVA is something it's a ballot access organization, and right now we have 1,861 households in this country that have an income of $1 billion or more. There's a few people that make $2 billion, $3 billion. And a billion is $1,000 million per year. That is quite a bit above my range.
Me too.
I live on Social Security, about $1,200 a month. That's what I have. Okay. Mm-hmm. And and to get into the top 1%, you have to make about $350,000 a year. To get into the top 99.8% level, you have to make $1 million per year. A household does. So that's where it is, and 90% of the people in this country make less than $350,000 a year. You go down to 40% and below, you have a net worth of minus $10,000.
Mm-hmm. Right.
People who make $350,000 a year, if you do that in 20 years, you've done pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You pay for a house out of that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And have money left over so you can actually have some savings. You can actually have a pretty comfortable life. Mm-hmm. So $250 a year or whatever. $100,000 wouldn't be bad as far as that concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, on the cost of living might go up. But this thing right here is a guideline to edit, publish, and manage local IVA web pages. Now, the Independent Voters Alliance is a ballot access organization. Means that it means getting people who are not Democrats and Republicans on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And it means that and that's Democrats and Republicans are actually a very small percentage of our country, maybe 15%. People who are really, really likely voters who are Democrat and Republican are about maybe 15% in each party, or 30% altogether. About 7% of the people in this country register Democrat and Republican so they can vote in primaries. They don't support the party beyond the vote. Every year they vote for Democrat. That's the only people on the ballot. That's the reason they vote for them. And not they believe in their system or whatever. No, maybe we should go into the voter pledge, you know.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about that.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is I think we might be, we're probably a ways from having people agree to only voting, to not vote Democrat or Republican anymore. I think it's the first step is getting people to just accept that, we could actually have, third parties win if more people would get out and vote.
Well, that's the thing that people need to understand or get to understand. Well, let's see, where is that? That's okay. Let's see. Okay, here's the populist voter pledge. There's a thing. Okay,
whoops, sorry.
Maybe I should make it like this. I don't know. That's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and in fact, I could go ahead and show you how to. You can. Why don't we go ahead and do that? Yeah, let's see. Here's a. What in the world does this thing say anyway? What it actually says is we need a proactive political mass movement. That means a whole lot of people. We had about 66% of the people get involved in throwing the Democrats and Republicans out and electing people who would represent the 99%. And that's what this thing up here says. Occupy elections. We are the 99.999%. You elect 99.99% candidates. That would not be Democrats and Republicans. There's 30% candidates, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is that's a link that goes to talks about year one vote. It's on the Commerce Institute Political Reforms website. This is a strategy. It talks about there it is right there. We don't want to look at that, do we? Oh, now how do I get back to there? Okay. The one vote thing, this is it right here. It's the power of one vote. The American people must be educated to discover the extreme lack of popular support for Democratic and Republican parties. Both parties are well financed by special interests and they make a lot of noise, blah, blah, on TV and radio. Okay, I mean, they have the power because they're backed by all the billionaires, all the people that want the 1,000 to 1%. They're backed by the billionaires and by the corporate executives and Wall Street. Anyway, populist voter pledge. It says and it puts your name in there. The undersized citizen of the United States of America pledges my fellow citizens to legally register and vote in all local, state, and national elections for the rest of my life. That means if everybody did that, we'd have 100% of the people voting, more than 66% even. If everybody voting every election. This is a commitment that we're going to change our country.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually going to vote in people who will represent us and represent our children and our grandchildren.
Yep.
And have it so we maybe share things better. Mommy always told us that now y'all be good now. You share your toys.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Is that what they say anymore? I'm not sure. I haven't been on any play dates in a while. Maybe the play dates. That's what the moms do. Maybe they say keep it all to yourself now.
With the kids, right, yeah.
They might be telling.
My mom always told me, said, "Y'all be good now. You share your toys."
Yeah.
You be good to people. Be kind.
I think it's more now like the toddlers have the iPhone X, and I'm just joking, but.
Not very social, you think?
Well, no, I wonder if they're really told to share their toys, or they're like, see, your toys are better than your friend's toys. No, I don't. I'm just making a joke.
Don't let them swipe your iPhone.
Right.
Yeah, well, there's a larger and larger divide between people in this country. There's no doubt about that. In fact, there was Bill Moyers had a segment on not too long ago, and he talked about a book called Capital, and said more and more of the wealth in this country is inherited. There's fewer and fewer new millionaires or new billionaires or whatever. It's which tends toward oligarchy because we're going to have all of the wealth is going to be handed down from one generation to the next.
Right, because it's harder and harder to.
All the positions of power are going to be. Well, look at our last presidents. The Bushes are very wealthy millionaires, them kind of people, Donald Trump, oh, yeah, he's a billionaire, and his dad was a very well-off person.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I mean, we need to start electing people that
See, here
relate to us,
here's the thing I struggle with some because, having Republicans in my family and
Yeah.
It's when you start sounding like we're trying to punish success or punish hard work. I remember in the debates between Hillary and Bernie, at one point, I can't remember how Bernie worded it, but it was just like, it's that everyone deserves the opportunity to be able, to work hard and do well and get ahead. And the Hillary camp, and the Republican, or we'll just say the elite establishment, they want to phrase it as, like Mitt Romney said, oh, it's just wealth envy. Well, I mean, maybe that is the case for some people, but that's not the point. At least that's not how I see it. I see it as that it's just so hard to even, 30 years ago or so, you could have, work a blue collar job and still at least afford like the basics, right? You didn't have to, it just wasn't so uneven. And so I think sometimes the right and now the neoliberal, whatever, Democrats, they will seize on that rhetoric and say that, oh, they want to, punish success, and that's part of the American dream and all this stuff. When that's not it at all. It's that constantly increasing health insurance premiums. The people that are making $250 a year can absorb. They can absorb that.
And paying for education, paying for medicine, paying for organ.
But they can absorb that. They're not going to go, they're not going to go without groceries or something because of it. Whereas, those increases really harm the people that are making less than that. So anyway, it's just a point. I think that sometimes it's sort of a nuance of meaning that people miss.
Your family's Republican.
Well, some of them, the Canadian on one side.
What I'm just saying is Republicans, they as a group, you think you have 50 million Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's 50 million Republicans. There's 1,861 households that make $1 billion a year. There's maybe 10 or 20 million people who make $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
So those Republicans, there's 50 million of them. There's 20 or 30 million of those to make less than 250 or 350,000. A lot of them are down there making 100,000. They're down there, and part of them are in that 10 or in that 20 or 40% that are that have a net worth of minus $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
But they think that if they keep things on a competitive basis, they're convinced that the opportunity will be there.
Yes.
For them if they keep on voting Republican. One day I'm going to make my billion.
Right. So,
well, see. What Donald Trump, he said he was going to represent everybody,
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Republicans tend to say, well, this is better. This pulls everybody up. Trickle down.
Right.
It helps everybody,
Well, see.
And so as much as that's believed, then those people are going to vote Republican to keep them going into office over and over and over.
Right.
And same thing for Democrats. They tell you the same thing, but they don't really. They had a chance to do single payer health care. Did they do it? No, they didn't do it.
Right. Right.
No public option.
Mm-hmm.
They're allowing private interests to buy out utilities, water utilities, electrical utilities, all kinds of public projects that should be publicly owned. They're privatizing them,
Mm-hmm.
So, the amount of money that the wealthy have is just, it's unbelievable. I mean,
well, they
are so wealthy, they are invisible.
But see, here's another sort of nuance of meaning here. When you say the word wealthy, there are a lot of people that, say they are in that 250, I don't know, say you've got two lawyers, working in Manhattan. And they think when they hear this rhetoric from the Bernie Sanders camp and the populists, they hear that rhetoric, they think, oh, they're coming after, I'm in that group. They think, oh, it's that
right,
punishing
right.
the wealthy. But so I think it's really important to make a distinction between, the working professionals that they may still have lots of student loans or whatever, and they're in a place
Right.
that's very expensive to live. And really, at the end of the day, they could be in that kind of gray area where they're not going to get any assistance for college for their kids because they make too much. They work really hard. And so they may see that as, oh, this is this wealth envy. And I think you have to it is that upper middle class group, but I think it's really important to just make that distinction that, no, we're not talking about those people. We're talking about the obscenely wealthy, billionaire class that's controlling everything, because I think that's something that the neoliberal Dems really like to use in a way that's misleading.
Yeah, just like here is the Occupy Wall Street movement. I did have just Occupy Wall Street, but the Occupy Wall Street movement was something which was a very important social event in this country. The thing is they didn't realize that they wanted to be outside of politics. They didn't want to get involved in politics. Mm-hmm. They didn't realize that they're part of that 66% that don't vote. Mm. They wanted to say that they didn't want to get involved in dirty politics, because we can clean it up by being involved,
Right.
But this thing you're talking about, like my son's a college professor. He makes pretty good money. His wife's a doctor. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they are in the 1%. I think. I never have looked at their finances, but doctors make pretty good money, and he makes $100,000 a year, whatever. She makes $300,000 or $400,000 a year, whatever it is. So they probably make $500,000 a year. So they're up there. They're well into the 1%, probably.
But
I would know that. But I mean, and they have a house, they have all these expenses, and they don't have any kind of welfare, blah blah blah, or whatever, any kind of public assistance or whatever. So so they sometimes feel pretty well strapped because they have their mortgage payment is pretty big for a big house and blah blah blah, et cetera. And they own 2 or 3 cars, and they spend a lot of money. They go on vacations, and they think they don't really have that much. But that's they're really pretty well off. So.
Right. I think, Brian, did you want to chime in there?
But when Bernie Sanders talks about democratic socialism, he's not talking about just taking care of the poor. He's talking about making a healthier society. Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you have people who can afford to have food and have some expectations, they don't take drugs, they don't get all involved, they don't become alcoholics, which becomes very expensive for society, and et cetera. There's so many benefits, but that's the reason this number that I have 99.999%. This is what I think we should be talking about, because this includes the lawyers and the doctors and everybody else except billionaires, the people, the Wall Street financiers or the banks, etc. This includes everybody.
Right.
And I think we need to include everybody from the left all the way over to the right.
Whatever that means now.
It's not a matter of left or right. It's a matter of people. If I do my job as a doctor, I'm going to make a couple $100,000 a year or more. I'm going to make a better living than most people, right? The payment is there. Right now, that's the way it is. But we should not penalize those people just because they make more money than say I do. Hell, I make $1,200 a month on Social Security, So I got a lot of reason to be envious of a whole lot of people, So.
Right.
But I mean, if you want to have a healthy society, you have to have these more than 99% represented. 99.99% need to be represented in Congress, in state legislatures, and have it so that right now the difference in wealth, what do they call it? Wealth separation, the rich and the poor, that's such a big distance. I mean, right now, the people at the top make so much money, we're not even aware. They have so much money that they could really just throw a whole lot of money downstream. It wouldn't even, they would not even notice it.
Well, most of the time.
So much better. It would make life so much better for people further down on the lower end of the spectrum,
Most of the top isn't even the 1%. It's the 0.25 or 0.10%.
Right.
I was in the top 1% for a few weeks, and I was
Yeah.
top I don't know, 5% for a few weeks. But
Few
it seemed
fun
like
weeks.
I was in the top 5% for a few weeks, paid off my school loans, and then 300,000 factories in the United States went out of business, and I was in manufacturing. Things just started recovering. After 15 years, I got back into the top 1%, and for a couple of weeks, and then all of the factories class that I worked for. That time I went into automotive, and then all the automotive factories shut down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
you just can't get ahead. You know, if you're not in the top 0.01%, your money gets extracted every time that there is a any kind of fluctuation in the market.
Right.
You know,
See, what a lot of people don't understand is that the very top, who basically are running things, what they actively do is make sure that the mechanism that allowed them to get to where they're at is gone for anybody beneath them. That is their entire purpose, is to make sure that nobody else can get to that same stratospheric wealth tier that they're at. They actively try to remove all of the opportunities that they had that allowed them to get to where they're at.
Pulling up the ladder behind them. And see,
Right.
that's one of the things, and sorry, Brian Snork, you've all heard me say this 1,000 times, but, you know, like I said, my grandfather was Republican, but he came from nothing. Like, his dad was a car salesman who lost his job in the Great Depression. Now, my grandmother's side of the family had some money because a great aunt who didn't have kids and was a college professor invested in IBM back in the 30s. But like, I think that helped with a down payment or something for their first house. But my point is that my grandfather, I mean, he came from nothing and he worked really hard, but he was in the Navy in World War II, so he had the GI Bill. So he gets out and goes to law school. He doesn't have any loans. And, you know, I used to try to talk to him about this, and it just, you know, he worked really, really hard, and he was very penny pinching, you know, that Depression era mentality. And there's no denying that, no denying his hard work, but he just couldn't ever really see what I would try to point out to him, that some of his success did have to do with just the way things were lined up. You know, I mean, for him, when he retired was when, you know, Wall Street was deregulated. And so then he, you know, he had a pension. How many people have a pension anymore? And so then, you know, he was able to invest in stuff, and he was really smart about it. But, you know, it's just that I don't think that many people can follow that same path now. It's not
exactly right.
Not going to happen. So
well, I mean, it's there are people who do. I mean, but
Sure.
right now it's like manufacturing, like Mitchell was just talking about. You know, you get up earning 1% or 5%, and all of a sudden your factory's shut down. So you're back down to not having another job to go to or whatever it is. You know, you don't have the same opportunities you had before.
In my case, in both cases, it wasn't one factory. It was the entire industry left the United States.
What industry was it? Automotive, yeah.
I was in electronics.
Okay.
Very high-tech electronics. Not just computers, but very special computers. And offshore. You didn't find any computer manufacturers in the United States basically after that. And then
what Dell was in place back in those days, right, or whatever.
Dell was. I don't remember when Dell started white boxing, but they've been out of the United States for a long time.
Okay. Well, there used to be a domestic manufacturer of computers, you know, so at one point.
Domestic distributor.
Now they're a distributor, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, so we're doing one thing. We're letting Congress do things like that to our people, allow industries to move out of our country. I worked for Cincinnati Millicron up in, I was a contract draftsman, but I worked for Millicron some, and I was in their plastic division out in Batavia, Ohio, and they were disassembling injection molding machines for doing plastic parts, and they were taking them apart and breaking them down and shipping them to China, capital equipment for making things. And what's been, so much of this stuff has been sent over to China, capital equipment, which is, you know, it's our wealth.
See,
and
right now,
over to China, you know.
Yeah, right now we could not put tariffs on anything and restart here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not possible. We no longer have anything left. They're done.
What manufacturing equipment? I mean, it's something Ross Perot talked about back in 1992. He said we're sending all our capital equipment overseas, and we're not keeping our jobs. Paper shuffling is not worthwhile. If somebody attacks you and you don't have any military equipment and you don't have anything to manufacture weapons with, how are you going to defend yourself?
Right. And that's why we have a law in the books that if there's only one left of one industry, the Pentagon has to subsidize it. That law has not been enforced since the early 1980s.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other problem is, in terms of income, is that the vast majority of the people, I mean, all it would take is one, you know, horrible medical condition.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever savings they might have, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and they're done.
There is. Our country has we don't have a social safety net like other countries do. You know, like whatever, you know. And but then again, the people at the top, they're not paying taxes. This tax cut they had, 85% of the people 85% of the tax cuts went to the top 1% or whatever it is, the top. I don't know. It's some small amount or whatever, but and the thing is that we're not electing people who will represent the American people. We're electing people who will represent the billionaires, and that's the message that Sanders had, that Bernie had, what he was talking about, and he just recognized the reality of our economy, of our financial system, of our country.
Mm-hmm.
We're giving everything to the people at the top, and we go around. Going to movies and watching TV, and isn't this fun? Or watching sports or whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. We're not paying attention. We're distracted with all this garbage, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I think
entertainment and sports and etc. You know.
And that's such a perpetuating a vicious cycle of people are like depressed, and so when they have because of all this stuff, so then their time off, the last thing they want to do is think about something stressful like politics. Right. And so they check out and watch whatever, and so then they're more disconnected, and there's this constant belief that it can't be changed. So well,
it's a very stressful thing about politics, because we've realized, anybody with half an ounce of sense realizes that we have not been represented by the Democrats or Republicans for a very long time.
Very long time.
And so, so what the heck? Why would you even get involved in politics?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what are you involved in life? You know, but and you got so we need to build an infrastructure, a structure that people can use to occupy politics, occupy elections, so that we can have hope and faith that we can elect people to office who represent.
Right.
Ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, that actually represent our interests, you know, and the thing is that that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
That you know.
Speaking of that, I would love to talk about this article. If I don't know how many people had a chance to read it, the one in Disobedient Media about Tim Canova and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which that's turned out to be a bit disappointing. Actually,
her background is pretty much an insider.
Yeah, that's what we're learning. So, do you want to? I mean, I don't know. We could do that and then come back to this, or if you want to continue now, do you want to scroll? I'm just thinking we should show more of your thing here.
Okay, this thing right here. This is a thing you can actually fill this thing out. This is a Adobe Acrobat program. Mm-hmm. You can take and go over here, and you can let's see, fill and sign. Okay, here we go. Like, you can just go ahead and do that little fill and sign thing there, and then you can go over here and you can go ahead and put it in right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can go ahead and type. Damn, that's small. anyway, you can type in your name, you know, and whoa. Oh, here it is, moving down here. Okay.
So the first thing is getting people, you know, getting people's attention to actually, you know, get out and vote and believe that a third party could win.
Right. Okay, this thing right here: give journalists and your representative a hard copy or e-file of your signed pledge.
Yeah.
Okay. This is something when you get this thing filled out.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can go ahead and do this little sign thing. So I've got this thing right here. I can go ahead and sign it like this, you know. But that's set up on this Adobe Acrobat. So,
very cool. Yeah, I mean, I think we have a few steps before we get, but some people would probably sign this. I don't think the majority right now, but I mean, you know, it's definitely, I think, a great tool. So,
but if you see, this is something that, of course, I mean, this Adobe Acrobat program is free. Everybody has a. You can do this on a cell phone. You can do it on a tablet. You can do it on the computer. You can do it, you know, almost anywhere. You know, go ahead, fill these out, and you don't have to write a letter. You can go ahead and send this in to your congressman or your state legislature.
Yeah. Well, with the growing numbers of people,
I am so mad. I'm ready to vote every damn Democrat, Republican out of office. Unless you guys start representing me, you're done.
Right. Well, enough people feel that way. You know, I think.
Well, there are a lot of people feel that way. They just don't realize they're backed up against the wall yet. You know.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Right.
Well,
they don't realize the power that it has yet, and I think. You know, it's kind of a catch-22. It's like we need a couple of wins before people will believe it, but we have to get people out to vote in order for that to happen. So, let's see. Do you want to?
Well, see, that's one of the things about the IVA is you have. Oh God, I guess I could show one. Oh, let's see. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to show you something. Let's see now. Where's my daggone? Where's the internet? Where's my daggone internet? I don't know. Where is it? Is that it? Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, no, I didn't yet. That's dog file. Are you going to bed? I'll see you later. Okay, I'll see you in the morning. Okay. Where did that thing go? My God, come on. Okay. I can't tell which one of these is the internet. It's so small. How do you do that?
Wait, what are you trying? You're trying to share another?
No, yeah, I'm trying to see where I have the internet. I have the internet open with several pages open. Maybe this is it here. I'm not too sure. Yeah, that's it. Okay, here we go. Okay,
you're like me with 100 tabs open at all times.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I do that a lot.
Me too.
This right here is IVA. It's Hamilton County, Ohio IVA. County local. So go down here, and this is a list of pages that have various functions: manage web pages, meetups, coffees and speakers, monthly meeting, blah blah blah. There's a whole bunch of pages there that's in the local. Okay. And you go up here, and then here's Ohio IVA. This is the state of Ohio web pages. It has a similar setup. Here, and they have the same lineup of pages that have the same functions. You know. Ohio IVA, local IVA home pages, the directory of the IVA Central Committee, etc. There's a lot here. A whole lot more you get into.
Yeah, you've done a lot of work, Rich.
But here's the USA. It's saying, there's also a place right there, Meet the Independent Voters Alliance, and here's a leadership, local IVA webpage manager, leader of the populist movement for open ballot access and equal political speech. Each person that has that creates web pages in their precinct or wherever they want to decide their local pages are, they get to put a bio page on there and tell them what they think about the current political system and why they are getting involved in the revolution. So this gives you ego involvement in that web page.
Okay.
So so you have taken the time to create that thing, and you put this is the reason I'm working on this. You know. So we have people involved in it. But page whatever. Here's a directory, state IVA home pages. Okay, here's let's go to the top. Directory, this page. Okay, state IVA links. Here's this is on the national National Local IVA webpage, IVA Locals HTML table. And this is Ohio. There are pages there. This is the most complete one. That's the Hamilton County, Ohio. That's those 3 pages. That's really local Ohio and USA. New York, New York is that has a pretty complete set of pages, but they're so out of date. They're from back 10 years ago. They need to become updated now, But we have what every one of these things got. California, Florida, all these ones that are great right here. There are people in those states that are interested in doing the IBA.
Well, so, as I told you in the messages, what I'd like to do, so we're going to start interviewing the independents, and Greens, but more and focusing on that since the Democratic primaries are over. And I would love to, after we do some of those, individually, is set up a panel discussion where you could present this, to the independent CFAR and CWAC candidates that maybe they haven't heard about this, and see if they would get on board. I think it sounds like something. I don't see why they wouldn't. So I'm hoping that might.
One thing, this thing that says there's some things: your voice, open access, our choice, etc. Our choice. I have fun with this. Is your voice. Tired of the blame game. Elect new leaders. We have 99% fire, decent ours. That's a nice little cartoon. Non-party. This is open. This is about organized on computer, tablet, and smartphone desktops of IVA participants. It should be about 500,000 of these websites and precincts or whatever. Our choice. Anyway, you go back to here and you got your voice. Briefly, this is talking about non-party, etc. Open access. Continuous ballot access for all minor parties will be a required concurrent IVA petition goal in each state. That's for the Green Party, Libertarian, whatever minor parties there are. Right now, minor parties are, when they put candidates on the ballot on a national level, they get about 1% of the vote, maybe 1 to 3% or something like that. The state level, about the same. So minor parties are not the answer because they do not have enough people. Because they're still a political party. The American people do not like political parties. They're not interested in that.
So
there are a few percentage people who will vote for Greens and for those people, but 6% of the people don't want to do that. So we got to find a way to get them involved, get them to participate, get them to work on this thing.
Well, I was just imagining this, network of independent candidates, but how you would, you still, as the bigger this thing got, we have to keep money out of it. That's going to be an interesting challenge.
Okay, this thing, I have a thing that, I have a cs2pr.us, that's my domain. You could have maybe 50 local IVAs on one domain. I don't know how many you can have on any domain. I don't have enough of them open to really tell how effective it would be, But if you do 50, then it costs $120 a year to buy a domain and have it managed or whatever by somebody, and so that's about maybe $1 to $3 per year. That's how much it costs to put up the web pages for a local,
Right.
Well, minimal money, and there's got to be
domain, so that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Joe Sexpack, he goes out and spends $20 a week on beer or whatever, So
right.
that's what.
But I just always, no matter what the movement is, you worry that someone's going to come along, co-opt it, and and destroy it with money in some way,
Okay.
So.
Well, this is one of the things that happens on this is. Here's a populist, nonpartisan ballot access. There's a thing that we reject financial support from any internal or external sponsor. The IVA will maintain freedom from all financial conflicts of interest. The IVA will never have any paid employees.
Yeah.
There's no money involved in the IVA. That's one of it's one of its strengths. Actually,
makes sense.
Yeah, and so if I was have my pages on somebody's domain, or I have one myself, or I pay $120 a year, and then have them pay me $3 or something to put their local up, or whatever it is, So,
right.
So, like almost everybody can afford to pay $3,
Right.
Of course, you can do it on, and you can actually run a local IVA going to your library and using their computers.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of things. I mean, this is something that is very feasible or possible for people to get involved in.
Right.
Without money involved,
Well, that's how I feel about, what we're doing with the interviewing candidates. I mean, we're just using Zoom and Restream, and it doesn't cost that much, It's something that,
And one of the reasons that what you're doing is possible, what I'm doing is possible on this IVA thing is because most of my things are not graphics. They're mostly just text, which are very small files and all that kind of thing. So, but right now, all the way people take photos and all these photo sites and all this kind of thing, like you have photos that are 2 megabytes a piece or whatever. So you have people have a gigabyte or so of photos and all this kind of thing. So all the capacity that's been expanded because of video,
right,
or downstreaming and all this kind of thing, or streaming video, that this makes it so that the amount of data that's needed for the IVA is so small that it's 2 or 3 pictures or something,
Right.
There's very little data used here, so that makes it inexpensive because of all the capacity that's been built up for video streaming and for photos and all that kind of thing. It's one of the reasons that this thing works is because the data is inexpensive for it, So, but anyway.
So I was actually just looking. I was thinking I might play obviously not the whole thing, but
what?
Here we go. I think this is it. One sec. I'm just gonna play, if I can get the right segment queued up here, from the election integrity panel where I just was. I think. Give me just a minute. I think this is the part. They've clipped it down. John Brakey is just amazing. He's worked so much. He was up till 3:34 in the morning working on this. So, okay, this is... So, as I said, I was there and I recorded and I didn't have sound. And I felt so stupid. But anyway, it turned out that what I did was useful because we had Benny Smith, who discovered this fraction magic thing.
That's what I don't know about that.
I'll show you. I wanted to just talk about that a bit too. But anyway, I decided to show this one segment because it does have sound and it's the close-up of his demonstration. But the reason I should have done a better segue there. I wanted to talk about what happens to someone when they run as against an incumbent like Debbie Wasserman Schultz and like in Tim Canova's case. And as we all know, he's running as an independent now. But this is what you're up against is, there's all this crazy stuff going on with election rigging. So that's something else we have to contend with. So anyway, but I'll let you go ahead with that, and then I'll just find this section here and I'll share it.
Well, it's just like in my race to get on the ballot in Jefferson County for Congress. There's like 615 precincts in Jefferson County, and the whole congressional district is within Jefferson County. All I needed to do is get 2 valid signatures from each precinct and $1 contribution from each precinct, and that would have given me more than enough to get ballot access to be on the ballot.
Right.
So if you had 615 IVA precincts set up in Jefferson County with just a web page manager and the chair and a few people that do petitions, you got enough to put anybody on the ballot you want to. You can get people on the ballot and you have people involved because you already have the structure.
Mm-hmm. There are just so many hurdles. It just seems so crazy that and so many hurdles to democracy. It's just mind-boggling.
Well, the thing we have to work with the tools we have, which are none.
Yeah, right.
Right. Because everything's run by money,
Right.
It's like you have get kids involved in a Democratic Party and the Democratic candidate or the Republican candidate. All you do is take $1 million and you put it into the county, and then you throw pizza parties for all these kids, and all of a sudden they're out knocking on doors and getting people to vote for the candidate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? That's the way it works.
Yep.
Everybody gets a piece of pizza. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of was my thinking with in Tim Canova's campaign is like just doing events like leading up to or maybe when early voting starts. Just, things that would be not that expensive to do, but have it at parks, have, meet and greet things where that people can come and talk to them. And every candidate out there, I mean, I think that's a great way to go, but you're going to have to go to places where people that maybe aren't normally paying attention, go to their community and
But if you have a structure and you have a few people from every one of those precincts, let's all go down to Jefferson Mall and we'll have a meet and greet. We'll ask the news people to come down and look at our crowd.
No, they'll ignore it, but that's okay.
Yeah. So you do it organized on social media. So you say,
right.
well, we do this once a week. We're going to be here. Or if you have some of these early morning shows, would have about a couple hundred people show out outside the studio or in the studio audience or whatever in a TV show or on a square or wherever it is. There's all kinds of opportunities to have people meet, and then you have if you're on a precinct, if you have a precinct walking list, you can go around and knock on doors and say, here's the flyers that the guy I want you to vote for, because I'm going to vote for him. I want you to vote for him too, or vote for her too.
Right.
So you have this grassroots organization. You don't have to spend money. You have to spend a few dollars for flyers and say, hey,
right.
Say face to face with people. Say, I'm voting for this man or this woman.
Yeah.
I want you to vote for him too, because he or she will represent us.
Well, Tim's done that. I mean, knocking on doors they do a lot of that. All right. So actually, wondering.
Firing trucks. Put flyers underneath windshield wipers and blades. In a parking lot. Or on the street.
Your mobile bill.
Yeah.
Introducing Spectrum Mobile and our unlimited data plan.
Sorry, ads. Okay.
Okay.
Well, anyway, go ahead, Rich.
A very interesting product.
Yes. Hi, Aeolus. How are you doing?
Hello. Sorry.
Okay, Aeolus.
All right. Okay. Well, do you want to continue here, or should we could jump into kind of talking about?
Do you have a video you want to show? Or
well, yeah, I do, but I actually think I found that chart I was telling you about that showed where. Okay, here. Let me just. Do you want to do stop share and I'll share this page?
Okay, yeah. Well, only one person will share it then, right?
Right. Yep. Okay. So, hang on a second. Oh, come on. Here we go. Wait a minute. Why is that not working right? I had this problem last time. Okay, here we go. All right. So, I hate to just read off, but I'm going to do that a little bit for anybody just to kind of give the background. This article is from 2016, October 24th, 2016. And it's really interesting the way this is written. I mean, just this first.
That looks sort of small on my screen. I can't.
Does it? Okay. Well, let's see.
Is something we can.
Okay.
Is that the shape of your screen? Is that sort of a long screen?
Yeah. Are you having trouble seeing it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll just see if I can zoom in on the chart specifically. But
we're seeing mostly green fields.
Really?
Looks like it must be Scotland or Northern.
That's
it looks
my.
like pea field. It looks like rice paddies.
Oh boy, I need to get rid of that. That's on my the larger monitor. So that's what's showing up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's showing up on your ultra wide.
Why is that doing that?
Oh, there you go. Now it's bigger.
There we go. That's much better.
Do you actually see the article now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I have no idea why. All right. Anyway. Okay. So, but I don't know. We need to check YouTube because I don't know what's showing up on YouTube. Sometimes what you guys see.
I'll check it. Hold on.
Yeah, there's a delay, so we'll have to give it a second. It's just
his race against Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, this was from 2 years ago. This is just sort of the background on what happened there in that race. That I wanted to talk about.
Oh, Donald Trump has spent okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is
on YouTube. It's just showing the candidates with a contract background.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what to do about that. I really don't. This is a Zoom thing.
Yeah, it's a Zoom issue.
So when you share your screen, any of you guys, it's fine. When I do, I don't know why. Okay, let's see. If I do this, is this what's going to show on YouTube? But then you guys can't see it.
That one screen that's on there, that's really a wide screen, so it takes up quite a bit in the.
Yeah. See. I think
the small pictures are not on within that screen; they're out to the side of it, so they're not on top of it. You know?
Okay, so now.
Yeah, that's what happened with an ultra wide.
With an ultra wide.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, now you guys can't see this, but this is what's broadcasted. You can?
Okay, now it's on YouTube.
Right.
Yep.
But
YouTube,
you guys.
I don't see it on YouTube. Oh, is that YouTube?
But you guys can't see
No,
it
that's not
here.
YouTube.
Anyway.
I think there's just like a minor delay.
Yeah, but it's on. I'm watching it. It's on YouTube now.
So
Why
yeah.
don't I see YouTube? Why don't I see YouTube?
Well, you would have to just go to my channel to see it.
Okay.
Oh, let's see. Hi, Shirley. Let's see if Shirley wants to come in. Anyway, yeah, Brian, do you want to ask Shirley if she wants to join?
Sure. Yeah, I can send it.
Or just send it, yeah. Okay, so I just want to, sorry if you guys can't see this, but this is what will show on YouTube. Okay, so this is from October 24th, 2016. So Tim Canova says there may be evidence that the outcome of his race against former Democratic National Committee Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz was manipulated after an independent blogger posted a study raising concerns about the election's results. Okay, so let's see.
Yeah, that was bigger before. I don't know what you did to it, but you know.
I don't know either.
But
okay.
it was twice that big, or even 3 times that big that I'm seeing it right now.
Okay, I don't know. Sorry about that, Rich. I wish I could tell you. Okay.
I see our small pictures there too.
Yeah.
Within that frame that the article's in.
Right, but we're kind of cut off anyway. All right, so let me just, I want to show this chart here. Okay, so, all right. Okay, the statistical analysis, Tim said, the statistical analysis of my election raises questions about possible manipulation. Please don't confuse asking such questions with reaching conclusions or making accusations. And I always thought that was, really, very smart the way he put that. He's saying, I'm not saying it's rigged. Of course, that's how, I remember there was another article that said Tim Canova is saying his election was rigged. No, he was saying things are not adding up and there needs to be, some investigation. Of course, some media wanted to twist it around and make him, sound like he was making accusations and being a sore loser and all that stuff. So, okay. So Lulu did a lot of work. Lulu Friesdat, a lot of work with this. And let's see. So the data showed how many people voted, what areas they voted in, basic stuff. Okay. They claimed that according to the statistical law of large numbers, the results should further and further resemble the average voting demographics in a given area. Friesdack claimed that after compiling a CVT chart for Canova's race, her results suggest Canova's election might have been tampered with. She said the results may have been artificially boosted in favor of Wasserman Schultz. No matter what percentages of the actual votes we distributed to the candidates, we were unable to replicate the reported results. This would seem to imply some kind of manipulation was necessary to obtain these results. It is possible that the reported results are based on demographic trends, but that those trends are being exaggerated in some way. So here's this chart. I wonder if I can make that bigger. No, that's going to do something else. Whoops, never mind. Okay, I don't know if anybody can see this, but okay, here's an independent statistical analysis of my race against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This is a tweet from Tim. Concluding that the official primary results are mathematically implausible and suggesting possible manipulation. So I think there's a better, let's see, what's the description of this? Okay, it's unclear.
There's two lines on the chart, one red, one blue, right?
Right, so I think it...
Tim's votes and one of them's her votes?
Yeah, so okay. Shows the number of people who voted in each precinct. The statisticians created models to guess how many people voted for each candidate, leaving room for error in the analysis. The results could only have been due to demographics, could be caused by an error in the computation of the results, could be due to demographic differences. But hang on, let me get to the part here. Let's see if there's a real good explanation of that graph. Because it's something where, you see how it, where was the better description? Maybe, it was something like as the later precincts came in, it just changed. Like, hang on just a second, sorry.
Well, it's something to do with the relationship to the time the votes were made.
Yeah, let me see. Maybe that was in that when I click on this. Hang on just a second. Yes, I think it is. Hang on, here it is. Okay, independent poll. Oh, here we go. This is it. Okay, sorry. Statistical analysis of the race, implausible. And you can look up more about this type of graph. It's a cumulative precinct vote tally chart, CVT graph for short. The CVT graph shows the precincts added together cumulatively from the smallest precinct to the largest along the x-axis, the horizontal line on the graph, and the y-axis, it shows the average of each candidate's percentage so far. Okay, to visualize how the graph is created, imagine the precinct with the least votes, then picture adding in a precinct with slightly more votes, then add in one with slightly more. Continue doing that until all the votes have been added together. Each time a new precinct is added in, the total of the votes so far is charted on the x-axis, and each candidate's percentage of the votes so far is on the y-axis. In the end, there's a graph that shows whether or not the candidates' percentages are changing from small to large precincts, and if so, by how much.
Right.
Okay. Sorry, this is a little tedious, but I read it before and understood it, so I'm all right. Okay. So we have all you guys listen; it'll make sense. Okay, the precincts are being added together cumulatively. So as you move further right on the graph, it becomes harder and harder for any individual precinct to overcome the average percentage of all the votes that have been added up so far. Because of that, after enough votes have been added in, we expect the data to begin to graph as a flat line.
Right, start to normalize. Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Figure 1 shows a graph of the Republican counterpart to Wasserman-Schultz-Canova race. This race follows the expected statistical pattern. Once enough votes are counted, the average level of support for each candidate is clear, and the graph settles into a relatively flat line. The more votes counted, the flatter the line becomes.
Right.
This behavior is predicted by the law of large numbers.
Yes.
And is the basis for all polling. And you can go to Investopedia, provides an easy explanation for that. Okay, and then in other words, as the number of votes sampled increases, the expectation is that each candidate's percentage of support will get closer and closer to the average of their support in the whole population. Exactly what happens in the Republican primary of the 23rd district. Figure 1 up there. Okay. In the race between Wasserman-Schultz and Canova, that does not happen. As more and more votes are added in, instead of the pattern approaching the average level of support for each candidate, a flat line, Wasserman-Schultz's percentage climbs continuously in a mathematically precise pattern, and Canova's percentage decreases steadily.
That makes absolutely no logical sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that would occur unless there was tampering involved. That doesn't make sense.
That's pretty much what they're saying here.
Yeah,
So
that does not make any sense.
So okay, we will discuss this precise pattern and later. This is not the expected statistical pattern. This graph.
Not in any way, shape, or form.
So this
in
is.
fact, it's way outside the norm.
Okay, so this is this mathematician who holds a master of statistics degree from university in Italy.
Way outside.
So that's it. Yeah, I should have shown this at some time before because I showed this to my daughter. This was, I don't know, a couple years ago when this came out. I'm not very good at this stuff, but that is pretty clear to me. I mean,
that's a clear indication of cheating. That's what you would expect to find in like a so-called banana republic. That's exactly what you would expect to find. To find that here in one of our own races is disgusting. That's disgusting.
And so you have this, and then you have ballots were destroyed. Gee.
Wow.
Yeah.
No wonder they were destroyed.
Yeah, for good reason. Yeah.
So, okay, to realize how unusual this is, it is important to visualize what is happening during the course of the graph. Along the y-axis, each point is an average of the candidate's support up to that point. And I guess this is repeating the same thing. Okay, again. And then till the far right side of the graph is then an average of the whole population. Why does the average of the candidate's support, average of the sample as it grows larger, not grow closer and closer to the average of all the votes in the race, average of the whole population? The average of the whole population is actually getting further and further from the average of the sample, contradicting the law of large numbers.
Oh, okay.
It just contradicts reason. I mean, that doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense.
So 4 separate analysts examined the results independently and found the same trend, so there is no question that the trend exists, only a question of what it indicates. Figure 2A by data analyst and engineer Phil Evans shows the same graph with an estimate of the difference between the expected statistical pattern and the reported results. He estimates the difference at 10%.
Yeah, that looks like a better graph. That one does. It's clear.
So
I need to add something here. To say that the only question is what does this indicate? In other words, it could be one thing or what could be another. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
It's obviously one thing.
The reason I say that is this. You don't arrive at this kind of an outcome unless there's something really shady going on. So you've got to ask yourself, you've got 2 candidates.
Yeah.
who is the one who had over the outcome? Was it Tim Canova or was it Wasserman Schultz? That's the only question here. That is the only question. Who had control over the outcome, and who was the one who slated it to their benefit? And you can only arrive at one answer.
Well, at this event, week before last, I was just sitting at the bottom of the stage trying to run my live stream, but somebody came up from the audience and wanted me to give a question to the panel, which was, why is Brenda Snipes still employed, still working at the Board of Elections? Because she's the one that signed off to destroy the ballots, which was determined to be illegal, and she's still there. I mean, it's just absurd. And so the people there in that county, they're aware, and they're not too happy about it.
Yeah, she probably got a raise.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay, so when looking at the data, I'm going to repeat myself here. What you show are results that could have been manipulated to get this graph. The best way to resolve whether there's a problem is to do a manual count of the ballots. So that's why they sued, to get the ballots, and then they were gone. So, best to start, okay, largest distance, manual count. Yeah, so there was no way to do that. So, okay, this is a different, what is this? Figure 3 is a graph of the precincts in the district that are in Miami-Dade County. The graph is by Dr. Beth Clarkson, a quality control engineer with a doctorate in statistics. It shows Canova's percentage of the vote decreasing as precincts with larger numbers of votes are added in. It demonstrates that the trend exists in the Miami-Dade precincts as well as in the district as a whole. Wait, what did I misspoke there? It demonstrates that the trend exists. Yeah, okay. As well as in the district as a whole. Okay. What is causing the pattern? There are 3 general explanations for the pattern. It could be caused by an error in the computation of the results. An error. Yeah, okay. It could be due to demographic differences between the precincts. If the larger precincts had a much larger representation of a group that supports one of the candidates, it is possible that it could explain the increase in one candidate's percentage. The larger demographic group would need to be much larger than the actual increase, since no group experiences 100% turnout, and it is unlikely that any candidate receives 100% support from a community. And last but not least, it could be caused by manipulation of the results. Okay, so possibility of error. It's possible that there are errors in the results. However, the pattern we are examining seems too precise to be an error. Figure 4 shows how precise the pattern is. In this graph, we have divided all of Wasserman Schultz's results by 2.5 and multiplied Canova's results by 2.5. The result is 2 straight lines. We are not suggesting that these are the actual results. We are simply illustrating that when the reported results are divided by a single multiplier, they create straight lines. This demonstrates how mathematically precise the pattern is, arguing against it being caused by an error.
Yeah, you don't arrive at that by an error. You arrive at that by direct manipulation of the results. Mm-hmm. It's not an error.
Dr. Clarkson, who's the chief statistician at an aviation research institute, hi Shirley, went so far as to say it's definitely not an error. She pointed out that the pattern has been documented consistently in too many other races to be an error. Let's see. They did an extensive analysis of all the demographic data available from the Broward County Supervisor of Elections. Most of the precincts for the district are in Broward County, so this represents the majority of precincts in this race. Figure 5 shows a graphic representation of all the demographic data that was supplied for registered voters. So you can kind of look at that. The only demographics that show much variation are the Black, Hispanic, White, and other race voting blocks. So we focused our research on those groups. There are demographic differences between the small precincts and the large precincts, but they are not enough to account for the pattern in the election results.
And they wouldn't be.
Figure 6 compares Wasserman-Schultz's increase with the variations in the Black and Hispanic voting blocks. Black registered voters increase as the precinct size increases, but not by enough to account for the increase in Wasserman-Schultz's support. The increase in Black registered voters is less than 4%, and only a small percentage of those voters turned out. Right. Turnout for Broward County overall is 16.57% for this race. Furthermore, the Hispanic vote decreases in the same precincts, almost canceling out increase in the Black vote. So, signs of manipulation. The Broward County Supervisor of Elections, Brenda Snipes, actually provided us with even more detailed data listing the number of eligible voters in each demographic and the turnout percentage of each group of eligible voters. With that data, we were able to figure out how many people from each demographic group actually cast a vote. We then constructed a formula and a graph that demonstrates what percentage of the vote each candidate would end up with, depending on what percentage of the vote they received. Okay, blah, 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 from key demographic. Sounds confusing, but easier to understand when you look at the graphs. So this, let's see, this graph projected votes from our formula. I don't know if I can make this bigger without, here we go. Okay, let's give everybody a second to look. What does this say? When Wasserman-Schultz receives 85% of the Black vote and 50% of the white vote, the projected race does not match the reported total.
Not a damn bit surprising.
And now I can't, wait a minute. I can't get back now, hang on.
There we go.
Yeah, hang on, there it is.
There is only one explanation.
Yeah, there is only, you're absolutely right, Snork. There's only one explanation.
The Russians interfered with this election to make Hillary Clinton.
Right. That was great. In order to more closely approximate the reported totals, it is necessary to give Wasserman-Schultz 100% of the Black vote and lower her support in other demographics. This projection is closer, but still does not match the reported totals. The reported totals exhibit a steeper increase from the smallest to the largest precincts than any combination of the actual votes. Okay, so no matter what percentage of the actual votes we distributed to the candidates, we were unable to replicate the reported results. If the division of the votes is close to what we started with in Figure 7, and then a manufactured 3.5 increase in Wasserman-Schultz's results and a manufactured 3.5 decrease in Canova's results are input into the graph, then the reported totals can be replicated almost exactly. This would seem to imply some kind of manipulation was necessary to obtain these results. It is possible.
No. Implied is incorrect. That's the incorrect way to phrase this. There's nothing implied here. It's obvious.
So,
it's absolutely obvious. This was a completely rigged election.
So why is this not plastered? This is 2 years old. This should be plastered all over everywhere. This is not democracy.
What we need is billboards with that graph on it. Posted all around Brenda Snipes' house.
I'm wondering if we could take this article in some way and really break it down to, smarter than a fifth grader level, kind of just really, really simplify it and say, see, look, this is why this can't, and to distribute it out around in this precinct and show people. Well, or it should be everywhere. You're right.
There is no question that Tim Canova won his election against Washington Schultz. No question.
Right. I mean, yeah. And that just sucks. So
and it sounds like something that they would do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Find the exact average that they needed to win.
Yep.
That number at 3.5%.
And subtract it from Tim and add it to Schultz. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. We would like to mention that the Supervisor of Elections Office of both Broward and Miami-Dade counties were helpful and provided data quickly in a polite and friendly manner. We really appreciate their professionalism and help. We do not know what the actual vote totals from the race might be. So this was early on, and then that's when they tried to get the ballots. So there is so much concern in the electorate that the system is rigged, that the elections will be or are being hacked, that our candidates do not reflect our best possible leaders. All of these are indications that our election process is broken. The first step in fixing it would be to move to transparent. Okay. Our team supports paper ballots marked by the voter with secure chain of custody, hand counted at the precinct immediately following the vote if possible, in a transparent process that is open to scrutiny by the public and the media. The results of the count, along with any concerns, must be posted publicly in each precinct immediately following the count.
And I would add this, that any time a result like this is found again that is that outside of statistical norm, that the election commissioner, Brenda Snipes in this case, be waterboarded. That's just I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, I'll give a link here later. The mathematics she's talking about can be so easily demonstrated.
Oh yeah.
The question is called Buffon's needle. B-U-F-F-O-N-S.
Right.
You drop a needle a number of times and you can calculate pi by results.
Right.
And the more times you drop the needle, the more accurate it gets.
Right.
And that's the theory behind her belief that the answer is that the poll result shows it gets farther apart with each one. But even running Buffon's needle, you know immediately that it's not the way the world works.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And whenever you're done with the, your share's not up. I'll drop
no, it's not.
I'll drop it into the paste.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a nice little thing online. I could even run it here real quick, where I'm going to share the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
You should see a screen with pickup sticks. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Looks like, yeah.
Okay. So if I say I want to drop what happened there? Play the game. Okay, if I want to drop 100 needles, how do I do that? It would show me that I've got a certain number, estimate of pi. When I drop 1,000, this is credits. This is HTML5. I'm not able to run this on my PC during this share.
Okay. Well, do you want to just...
But
I get where that's going now.
The more chopsticks you drop or toothpicks, whatever, the more accurate it gets. And pretty soon,
right,
you get away. And yeah, it's so frustrating that, and then worry that most people's eyes would glaze over. I would just quote the PhD is saying the numbers are not feasible.
Right.
Right. They're not in any way, shape, or form. Well, that is way outside of what you would expect statistically. It's absurd.
But what stuck out to me was that, you know, the mathematically precise, you know, going in the opposite direction.
Because she had to steal from Tim's percentage in order to boost her own, and that's why you have that separation. That is a clear indication that he was cheating. Absolutely. I mean, it's perfectly clear.
So I wonder, so I could play this. I don't know if you guys want to sit and watch it or not. I guess I'll just share it another time or something. But basically, this guy Benny Smith does a demonstration of how this, what he figured out. He calls it fraction magic, how it works. And it's basically taking, turning votes into fractions of votes. And you don't see that in the actual results. And then it's really hard to describe. You'd really have to watch him. But in a nutshell, what that can all be done in the span of, like, he ran this program and he said, like, you just put this in a matter of like 12 seconds or something. It's done. Right. And it changed the results. It's called fraction magic. So he found it in Memphis, Tennessee, where he lives and was working.
If you look up Benny Smith and fraction magic on YouTube, you can find the videos. Yeah. He explains really it pretty damn clearly.
Yeah, I don't listen to me. Watch him.
It's disgusting. It's really disgusting.
Mm-hmm. So that's what's been going on in Tim Canova's, fight.
And it's still going on.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And not just in Florida.
No.
No, New York, California.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
California shredded dollars. They had the truck right outside the place.
Yes, they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they did.
So, they're multi-pronged approach to keep people from winning. I mean, it's like we have the straight up, manipulation of the votes. We have, what's going on, like this article. Shirley, did you happen to see this article about, where did it go? Disobedient media. It was Elizabeth Voss. The title is The Critical Difference Between Tim Canova and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Just basically talking about how she's just been, co-opted or was always meant to be this.
Most likely, yeah. It looks like she was always meant to be.
Yeah, in the Democratic.
Yeah, she was. She didn't grow up in the Bronx. That was a lie.
Yep.
So we have that going on. We have.
And the shoes she wore in her campaign was a couple of $1,000. Her father was an architect.
Right.
Well, so we have that going on, and then if there is a candidate that is the real deal, like Tim, you see what happens.
Yeah, they get cheated. They get completely robbed.
Yeah.
Yes, the DCCC, they handicapped progressives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we need to handicap them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know how she won, but I don't know. Crowley is still on the ballot.
Right. Yeah, he's running as an independent, I think, against her.
And the Democrats, they got her running their narrative right now because she's been flipping on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Just like Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
Dylan, too. Mm-hmm. He out there with Cory Booker, and I'm like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Campaigning with Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Debbie Wasserman's show.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
And so he want to make the ACA stronger. I said, wait a minute, he ran on Medicare for all.
Yes, he did, and now he's completely backtracked on that.
And I'm like, Don, he didn't even get elected yet for the position. He just won the primary.
Right. I don't know why they think people are. Well, never mind. Some people fall for it, but I think a lot of people aren't, and they see it, and it's. Yeah, I don't know. They show zero signs of changing anything.
And you know, Obama had the Homeland Security take over our polling station. So you know that's not right, because 11 states complained that some fishy stuff was going on in the polls, and they were switching up votes and stuff.
It was over 21 states, actually.
Oh, it's 21 now.
Over 21.
Okay.
Yeah, we got into that another night. Rich, were you going to say something a minute ago?
Oh, I forgot what it was.
Oh, that's okay. It happens.
Yeah.
We get talking. So yeah, Shirley, I don't know if you I don't think you were around then when we were showing clips of C-SPAN, where there's a committee that's been asking DHS for the evidence of the Russian hacking, and they're not giving it to them. And we're coming up on a year now, and they still haven't given it to them. And they give
it. Who gave it to them? Was it Bill Benning? And they said on the news, mainstream news, he's crazy.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Right. No, if you listen, I made some clips. If you actually go to C-SPAN, I didn't realize this till after I did it. Anybody that makes their own clips on C-SPAN, you can put your name there, and so if you look up Kelly's Words, like my Twitter handle, you can find the clips there. But I made some of what's his name, Krebs, Christopher Krebs of DHS, giving these answers that are just all over the place.
They're cringe-worthy.
Oh,
They're so
odd. Yeah, they really are.
Surprising it wasn't censored.
Well, I mean, it was definitely ignored. Let me see. Actually, I can play one of them.
Is Kelly's Clips KK?
It's KELLEYSWORDS. Kelly's Words. And I found Max. Okay. Yeah, I found Max Blumenthal's
I was saying Kelly's Clips. That'd be so cute. KK.
Yeah, I just decided to make it the same as my Twitter handle.
Like when I went to the polls, my polling station was acting kind of weird in the primary.
Mm-hmm.
I went to push Bernie's name, and I'm like, why the hell is not lighting the F up? Don't have me make a scene in here.
Right.
It was not lighting up.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
And eventually it did.
Shirley, I don't think you've met Rich, have you? Shirley.
No, Shirley.
No.
Okay.
Hi.
No.
Shirley gets feisty, don't you, Shirley?
Yes,
she gets
I did.
mad. All right.
We need
I
feisty.
talked to him Black last night, and I was really feisty. I got them riled up in the chat room.
Yeah.
All right.
This Kavanaugh thing is a distraction for what they're doing.
It sure is. Damn straight it.
Israelis are doing. They killed 7 Palestinians Friday and injured 509. Yemen, they over there killing people. It's just I'm tired of it. I am really tired of it.
Well, it shouldn't be all that's covered on the news for what? How many weeks now? I mean, there is other news going on, right?
And that Avenatti, he gets on my last damn nerves. I just call him a porn lawyer.
Huh.
Right.
Well, actually, I'm hoping he filed a suit over there in what's the name of that state where they are? Maryland. I hope he files suit in Maryland against the candidate, the nominee. And I think that's a good possibility that might happen.
Hey, Shirley, I'll just, since we already played this, I won't do it again, but I'll send it to you, Shirley. This one, it's William Lacey Clay. I think this is the best one with Krebs' answers. They're just ridiculous. It's almost comical, almost funny if it weren't so scary. Okay. Here we go.
And they had former CIA agents and stuff running for office.
Yes, I saw that article, the World Socialist website. How many is it? It's like 30 or something, I think. Yeah. Well, you know, I remember when I saw about Ocasio-Cortez's answer. That was in the World Socialist website article about her answer about, like, would you support someone who's been in the CIA or the military? And I thought, well, okay, I mean, maybe you can't always say no, because maybe there's someone that they used to, but now they're blowing the whistle on things or something like that. But her answer, I guess, was kind of evasive, you know, so.
Yeah, because she know they shills. They are shills.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep the military-industrial complex spinning.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Look who's running the CIA. Bloody Gina.
So, anyway, I think, did you read this article about the from Disobedient Media? I thought it was great, and it's actually got a clip from the event where I was, where Tim's talking about election integrity. But anyway, it's just basically saying, I love the beginning part. Hang on, I think this is like says it all. Okay, Tim Canova's fight for the congressional seat in Southern Florida's 23rd District in November is the most critical example of what it means to be a real progressive in 2018. His independent run blazes a trail for all others who wish to genuinely turn the tables on a terminally corrupt Democratic Party.
Damn straight.
And I think that's why it's so important. If he could win, I mean, we know what he's up against, and if he does get enough voter turnout, what will they do? Or will they rig it again, like we've just shown?
It's going to be rigged. The Department of Homeland Security handles those polling stations.
Well, the election security people, though, are swarming around there, paying attention. So,
I don't trust them, because they was talking about having Secret Service and stuff at the polling stations now.
No, I'm specifically talking about like John Brakey, Audit Elections USA. No, they're doing good work. They're the ones
who basically blown the whistle on.
Right, they're the one. Lulu wrote the article that I just was showing earlier with the graphs. So that's who all was there at this recent event. So no, they need to look out for those guys, because.
Was Cliff Arn back there?
No, where did I hear it? Wait.
Oh, you know Cliff Arnebeck? I knew him up in Columbus, Ohio, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know him for about 20 years.
Wait, why do I know?
Yeah, because he was talking about people were doing a disservice to Hillary Clinton during that primary. And Ashley Bernie won won the nomination.
No, I don't think he is part of this.
He was with election integrity, because I watched a lot of their live videos during the primary.
Wait, which group is he with? I'm looking. Hang on. I don't know.
And it's the other guy up in Ohio.
Bob Fratrakis. Yeah. What about him?
Yeah, I knew both of them guys pretty well, actually.
What were you saying, Shirley? Are you?
And they have to have security. That's sad.
Right. Yeah, I know the name Cliff Aaron, but I don't. He wasn't there, and I haven't met him.
Okay.
And I don't know what role. I'd have to look into it.
He's an attorney. He works on voter fraud.
Right, but I don't know which group he's with.
He was for a long time. He was the head of Common Cause in Ohio too. Oh. By the way, Cliff Arnebeck.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watch so much stuff, Kelly. I can't keep up.
Yeah, trust me. I understand. I'll remember part of something and not the names, and yeah, I know. We're reading. I mean, all of us that are doing our own research, it's a lot to put in your head, you know.
Yeah.
It's just constantly coming at you. Yeah, I'll have to look him up though. I definitely know the name, but I don't remember which group he's with. I mean, there are some election integrity groups like oh crap. Here, see, this is a perfect example. I can't remember the name. But when I went to unrig this system thing in New Orleans in February, there was a guy, I can't remember, and he didn't know anything about Tim Canova's case, and he didn't even know about the people pushed off the voter rolls in New York. This was in February. So I filled him in on that, and I was just surprised. I mean, how can you be in that business and not know that? I don't know. But I think there are people that are still kind of stuck in this mentality that it's just the Republicans doing this. Yeah.
No.
Well, because the Democrats been saying it for decades. They both are one party of the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But there are people in the election integrity world that still think that way. I think I don't know why, because there's clearly stuff going on both sides. So, okay, he's the Ohio election fraud lawyer.
I miss Debbie the singer.
What happened? Is she offline?
Yeah, she stopped doing videos. She said she's tired because people saying she was crazy. She come up with conspiracy theories.
Well,
I thought she was good, especially about the fires in California, because they did not look right. They looked like that was manufactured.
Well, she lost me on the Vegas stuff, so, but we'll not go down that rabbit hole. But
And I have a problem with Tim Canova.
You do? Okay,
Yeah.
tell me.
He stands with the Zionists.
I
Does
don't.
he? That's news to
Yes.
me.
Yes. I've heard that.
I don't think so, Shirley.
I don't know.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I haven't heard that from him.
He is
I've heard that.
fairly Jewish district. I mean, he's running in a fairly Jewish district, so it wouldn't surprise me. He had some,
Is Tim Jewish? Is that the idea, or what?
I don't know if Tim himself is Jewish.
I believe it's his. I think it's his stepfather.
At the very least, the place he's running is, to my understanding, has a pretty substantial Jewish population.
Tim has lived in Israel.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, Debbie Washington says
that would explain it too. That would do a lot to explaining that position if he has it.
yeah, that's been out there. I've been doing the research on it, but they said people said that really like him. Said the only problem they had with him, he stayed with the Zionists.
I haven't heard. I'll look into that, Shirley. I don't trust that. I don't know. I've not heard anything about that.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me personally, but yeah, but just because it wouldn't surprise me doesn't necessarily, in and of itself, make that true. So,
Right.
We'll see.
I just don't. I mean, I don't think that's a. I don't know. I've never heard anything about it from specifically.
Because if you stand against Israel, the Zionists, you are no good.
Especially if you're trying to run in like Florida of all places.
And Debbie Wasserman Schultz has a big, huge community of Jews that vote for her.
Okay, all I can do right now is quote.
However, like I don't want to take that as like excuse to start making generalizations about like all Jews support Israel or something like that, because that's not
that's true.
That's not the reality,
Right.
Also, at some point, we're going to have to say we've got to start somewhere. Each candidate's going to have some flaws. We're going to have to prioritize which flaws we accept and which ones we don't.
That's an excellent point, Snork.
Okay,
A lot
so
of American Jews do not like what the Zionists are doing to the Palestinians.
That's true too.
Yeah.
okay, here's I'll just read this. This is all I know because I haven't heard anything directly.
And dehumanizing an entire group, population of people because tends to have some really negative consequences.
Debbie Wasserman. Sorry. Sorry.
That would be the case if you paid attention to history at all.
Okay, Debbie Wasserman Schultz said about Tim, quote, "He's made it clear that he can't be counted on to stand with Israel," she said in an interview with the Times. Well, he can be counted on to say whatever it is he thinks the audience he is in front of wants him to say. That's, yeah, whatever. Hang on. Canova said he was not including Israel as a Middle East country needing to disarm. "I will say categorically right here that I was not referring to Israel." He retorted, "I support disarmament in that region. I actually never singled out Israel whatsoever." To which Wasserman Schultz said Israel is the Middle East last time I checked. On Monday, she cited instances in which Canova articulated such a stance and deemed his debate answer a shift motivated by political expediency. As he repeatedly said until he got caught when I called him out in our debate, my opponent supports full disarmament of the Middle East, she said by telephone. He said 8 months ago out of his own mouth in an online discussion on Reddit, saying in his campaign literature, saying it in public. Okay. Supports full disarmament. Okay. And he never once qualified that he didn't mean Israel. That sounds like splitting hairs to me. I don't know. I mean,
what's the logic of that flow? Just sort of like talking about disarming schools, but this is sort of like.
I'm reading a mainstream
schools because you never know when the Palestinian kid sitting next to the little Jewish boy in class is going to try to shank him.
And what's crazy, Israel has the best Arabic teaching school.
All he said was in this online Q&A session, "I would favor a real disarmament effort for the entire region. U.S., European, Russian, and Chinese arms dealers are making enormous profits selling advanced weaponry and small arms to just about every country in the region. This has led to militarization and fear on all sides of these conflicts."
That's pretty much in line with what Jill Stein was saying as well, when she called for a weapons embargo for the entire region. I think that's completely legitimate. I think that's probably the best way to handle that situation.
If it can't be done,
Yep.
He just said back, Wasserman Schultz knows no shame when it comes to trying to exploit her religion, even while selling out Israeli security for her own political gain. It is despicable that she tries to use her religion to suggest she's a stronger supporter of Israel than me, and accused her of cherry-picking his quotes, which is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And her husband is being sued for fraud.
Say it ain't so.
He just, referenced a line from his website. "We should recognize that peace and security for Israel, the U.S., and the rest of the world is no longer possible without general disarmament and fundamental political and social reforms, specifically in Iran, Saudi Arabia, and among other state sponsors of terror throughout the Middle East." He changed. Okay.
He's missing the biggest one. That would be
that line, however. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said he's missing the biggest one. That would be us.
Oh. Yeah. The line was changed after Sunday.
We have elevated opinions of ourselves today.
I'm just stating a fact.
Yeah.
Hi, Snork.
Where did he go?
He's off camera for some reason.
Oh, okay.
You know, because reasons.
I was eating lunch.
Oh, lunch.
Lunch.
Wait.
Bro, it's midnight.
Midnight there?
It's past midnight, in fact.
He's on my schedule. Oh.
You know, lunch is served at noon, noon. Yeah.
Noon's when I want noon to be.
I like the way you think. It was funny. My daughter, who's 14, my daughter is 14. So there's some song that says 9 o'clock in the afternoon, and I don't know what it is. She said, "There's no 9 o'clock in the afternoon," and I said, "There is to me." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's you."
Really.
Yeah. Anyway, it sounds to me, honestly, Shirley, that whatever that was, that, you know, it was kind of cherry picking quotes, and yeah, I don't know.
No, but it was just several people that's been saying that. It's just been a lot of people, because I'm like, what?
Okay.
But I haven't researched it, so.
Okay. Well, I would say that, you know, this Disobedient Media article that just describes him very well, and he's like, he and Sandra Hicks, and I mean, well, a lot of the CFAR and CWAC candidates are the ones that will actually not be the Andrew Gillum, from what we've seen so far. Unfortunately, they're not winning yet.
And
but
I thought Ayanna Presley, she's another one.
Oh yes. Well, she's not anyone that signed. Anybody that's going to talk to us and sign the contracts, I think they're pretty much the real deal. I don't know. Have we run across any? What do you think, Brian? I don't want to pick out anybody by name that I feel like isn't the real deal, but
Hold their feet to the damn fire.
Well, I'm just thinking for
any of the people we've talked
not
with?
that we've interviewed. I think there was one Mesmer in like Missouri, and I really liked him. This was a while ago too. So, right. But he didn't seem to know very much about. I mean, he was like kind of for Claire McCaskill, and I was like, okay, really? Boy. And he didn't know anything about the election fraud and stuff in the 2016 primary. He seemed just a little bit, I guess, out of touch. But he was running as a Dem, so you know. But that's.
What did you expect at that point?
Do what? Wait, one at a time. Shirley, what'd you say?
I said, is her primary coming up?
Who? The one I just mentioned?
McCaskill.
Oh, no, that's already done, right?
She won?
Everything. Hang on.
Yeah, I think she won.
I think. I wonder what the numbers.
She did there too.
What the numbers were too, and that's the saddest part. You look at those races where those, you know, establishment Dem incumbent people won, and it's like, you know, 17% turnout. It's just so depressing.
Protesting are tired of.
Mhm. So, Aeolus, what were you saying?
No. I was just doing my regular off the cuff clipping.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's always good. Well, anyway, so we are going to get into doing more discussions with the independents and the Greens. And, you know, yes. I mean, all we can really do is, you know, what's being done in Tim Canova's race. He's fighting. He tried it within the Democratic Party. It didn't work. He was not going to, you know, be co-opted. And so he's running as an independent. They've shown, you know, these election integrity people have shown what actually happened. I mean, that's all. What else can we do? I mean, they would like to be there for other candidates, you know, if they see similar things happen. But I don't. I mean, what else do we do? We just keep fighting back, right, Rich?
After that 2016 primary, a lot of people do not want to vote no more.
I know.
We have elections. We have selections.
I know.
It's really disheartening.
And that. But that's really bad, you know. John Brakey talked to me about this, and he said, you know, it's really tricky because we need to expose this election fraud, but we also don't want to discourage more people from voting. When they hear this, they go, why should I bother? It's all rigged. So it's really a tightrope to walk.
Well, it was done blatantly in our faces. We saw it.
Yeah.
It really was. Yep. It was.
Yep.
I'm like, how the hell Bernie got 50,000 people in the park in New York, and other people couldn't even get in thousands more, and she went, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Hillary couldn't fill a high school gym.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember that one video of her rally in a gym? The girl trying to rally about Hillary. Nobody was excited.
Nope.
That
People
was
falling asleep.
That was so sad to watch.
You remember that, Elliot?
So,
that was funny. She's like, Hillary, and nobody going along with it. I'm like, she does not have no clue. She's not liked.
Pretty soon, Hillary's
That's like her first lady.
pretty soon Hillary's going to be going down to Florida to campaign for Gilliam. Is she going to be campaigning for W. Washington
I thought
Schultz?
she was down there already, Stuart.
oh, hope I don't run into her.
I hope you do and just keep right on going.
Well, okay, so Rich, you're in Kentucky, right? Like right over the border from Ohio, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I'm in Louisville, and I'm in
right.
Kentucky. It's over there. That's across from Cincinnati.
Right. Yep. I know.
I lived there for 43 years, so I know the area pretty well.
Okay. Well, I used to drive all the time up to Detroit from Asheville, North Carolina, so I know that route.
Yeah, went through there,
Yeah.
75.
For about 11 years, yes. I don't fly. I always, I'm crazy. I drive. So anyway, I was wondering though, you're in Kentucky. Don't you hear a lot of the Democrats aren't very liked? There are a lot of Trump voters, right? Around where you are, don't you hear this?
He won Kentucky, didn't he? I think he won the electoral votes for Kentucky, and very conservative, very red, supposedly. But that's just like no red state or blue state is totally red or blue. It's
right.
It's sort of like equal. 15% one, 15% the other, 20, 15, 15, 20, whatever. It's.
But do you hear this talk in this way of not trusting Democrats? Is that
66% of the people don't vote, and they're not red or blue. Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Okay, so we're talking about very small groups of people who are the reds and blues. It's not really they really own the state. We own the state if we don't take charge of it. Any state.
Yep.
Name a state. It's the same in every state, really. But I've been talking to people about politics for a long time. Every state I ever talked to, people from that state, it's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Democrats, Republicans are a very small amount of the people. It said going into a crowd and say, "Hey, you support the Democrat or Republican?" I don't. I'm independent. I vote for the person. And that's 80% of the people in most places. 70 or 80, something like that.
Well, I think though until recently, at least in North Carolina where I am, when you would say you were independent, that pretty much meant you were right leaning, like that you were maybe kind of libertarian. I think that's a pretty accurate. That's how it was. I think it's changing now.
I think that in any state in this country, I think that the conservative has a little bit of an advantage over lefty. I think that most people in the country a little bit are middle to conservative a little bit. Most people are. I think all over the country. So,
the coast seemed to forget that.
In some area, I think overall that tends to be true. But the things that need to be fixed in this country are all about progressive issues, and that need to be more income equality.
Right.
problem we have in this country is income inequality. That's all there is to it. You know?
But if you if you just went across, where I am, this state, started asking people, said the word progressive, I guarantee you it would not be a positive response. They've taken that word now. That's a bad word. Progressive is
in North Carolina. Yeah. What about populist?
I think that's still okay.
Yeah, but there are left populists and right populists.
Yeah,
populism is pretty popular right now, right and left. You know?
Yeah, very true. Very
Trump
true.
is considered to be a populist.
Yes.
You know, and Bernie was a populist. You know, so not establishment people. You know, so,
right. Got to find common ground somehow. All right. Well, I am approaching the 3-hour mark? 11, 12.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
We are. That's what happens. Yep. So, but I'm so glad you came on, and we're ramping up with all the interviews, and so I'd like to do, I don't know if there's a particular day that's better for you. We can figure that out to have you on with the group of independents. I think that would be really, really cool. Yeah. Sorry, Rich. Yes, you.
Well, as far as during the week, Wednesday or Monday.
Okay. Now.
Days for an evening,
okay.
In the weekend, I'm pretty much open.
Right. Okay. So usually
You don't do things in the afternoon, do you? It'd be nighttime.
I don't usually. No, because during the afternoon I'm busy with my daughter. So like we usually do 9:30 Eastern time. 9:30 p.m.
Like Monday or Wednesday at 9:30 or something.
Would that work for you?
It'd work for me. I'd make it work.
Okay. Yeah, that time seems to work for most people, or that's been the time that we've settled on a lot. So I think we're going to be doing a lot of them in a few weeks.
There won't be any on the weekend, right? There will not be any on the weekend.
No, we might do it on the weekend, actually. I mean, that might actually be better if we do the individual interviews during the week and then do a big panel on Saturday night. That might work out well. Because with a lot more people,
like the time we did tonight, like 10:30.
Wait, you know what? I'd probably move it back to 9:30 on Saturday, just so that I think if we have a lot of people, as you see, we go for 3 hours. So if we start earlier, I think that would be better. So maybe I think that would work. 9:30 Saturday for the group panel of independents, and then you can talk about all your stuff.
What about Sunday?
We could. I just think
Saturday's dance night a lot of times, you know.
Oh, okay. What time are you? What time are you back?
Oh, well, midnight, 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you could join in then. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Well, I think Sunday night, for the big group panel discussion, I think it's probably going to go a lot longer than an hour. Maybe, a lot too. So that might be kind of late for a Sunday night.
Well, it wouldn't be. That wouldn't be bad for me. I'd rather start at 10:30. I can go out and dance for a couple hours, then come home and get.
I'm with you on the time there. Yeah, but I'm afraid a lot of other people won't be able to keep up with us, Rich.
Okay.
They won't be able to keep up with us. They'll have to go to bed. So.
Okay.
Hey, Kelly,
yeah.
Let me tell you about the woman that ran against Menendez in New Jersey.
Oh, Lisa McCormick. Yes. What about her?
The local news here never really mentioned anything about her until election night. That's the local news.
Yep.
Not surprising.
Yeah. And she got 30-something% of the vote, 30-something, and had I don't know, was it $5,000? Something like that. Very little money.
The Democrats said they was back in Menendez. We want him back in. That crook.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was a monster.
I think Lisa McCormick will run again in 2020. I hope she does.
I hope so.
Yeah. I got to actually meet her in person in New York when I went to Left Forum. That was nice. So, we hope most of the candidates will run again. I know it's got to be discouraging not winning, but I think it's just going to take time because of the media blackout.
We've got to keep going.
So, yeah.
You're talking about the primaries. Well, the primaries, got to get on the general election ballot.
Well, right. I mean, if they don't win in all these independents and green, all of our candidates need to keep going.
Yeah, it'd be great if we had more people get on the general election.
this has been a rough month though. Within the span of like 2 weeks, we had 3 of our so-called progressive newfangled progressive leaders just fall from grace. We had Andy Gillum in Florida. What's her face from someplace that I don't remember, and Ocasio-Cortez.
Yep. Oh, you're talking about the second one. You're talking about the person that Shirley mentioned, I think.
Ayanna Pressley.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Ayanna Pressley probably had her fall from grace. If Tim Black's story was anything to go by, then she probably fell from grace quite a bit before this election. So,
yeah.
I saw an interview with her when Bernie and Hillary was running the primary, and it was a debate. And she like, don't mansplain me. She was a staunch Hillary supporter. Bernie was against the Brady bill. He didn't vote for the Brady bill. That's all you can go after him for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's pro-gun, that Bernie Sanders guy.
I mean, he voted for his people in Vermont.
Yeah.
They
have to eat.
This is kind of an awkward position. This is the thing about liberals that I don't quite understand. Given the left's traditionally pretty high, impetus about maintaining the right to self-defense and supporting legislation designed to intentionally disarm themselves. I never quite, in retrospect, I've begun to increasingly question how that actually came about. But I suppose that's kind of the nature of politics in general. Different people take up different policy positions based on what is most convenient for them at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you have integrity, and then you have the same thing all the time. Integrity in the morning, at night, this year, next year, 5 years from now, that's the kind of person I want to vote for.
Exactly. And that's what
all the time.
That's what Rich is too.
But Rich, you have to understand that takes effort, and then you have to actually commit to it.
That's commitment's a good thing. Commitment's a good thing, I tell you.
Yeah, and what's the saying? If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember.
That's the thing about lying. So if you tell a lie, it's going to make 10,000 more lies. If you tell the truth all the time, if you have integrity, it comes across. People may disagree with you, but they say, well, what do you think? Well, maybe we can find out somewhere in between where I am and you are, that we can find something that we can both agree to,
Right.
Consensus is what we really need to find in this society.
Wouldn't it be amazing?
I voted for my attorney, my DA here in Philadelphia. That's the last vote I did under the Democratic Party. And he is towing the line foul on what he ran on. He got rid of cash bail. He got a long list of who cannot be arrested and get bail. Prostitute, even if you're prostituted. Because people be locked up in these institutions and can't afford bail.
Right.
Yeah, he's really great. And the police union can't stand him because he sued them 70 times. Because he used to represent Black Lives Matter and Occupy Wall Street.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Well, gotta just.
Black Lives Matter has that's a good issue, no doubt about it.
And he also has a hit list of cops, bad cops, that he will not bring to testify at any hearing.
So you're happy with your vote?
Oh yes,
and
I'm happy.
You're watching what he's doing. See, this is what we all have to do.
He's following what he said, and the police union, like a Philadelphia police officer was killed a couple of years ago in a GameStop. And he had 2 kids by 2 different women, but he loved his children. And he ran on, I'm not doing the death penalty. He was serious about that. Even our governor has death penalty on moratorium. So the guys came to a deal with the DA, and the family, the cop's family was harassing the mothers of the children to go for the death penalty. And they said no, they didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because they don't want their kids to keep reliving that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's pretty good. They pissed off with him, but hey, he did what he ran. He did what he ran on. I said, I can't believe I finally voted for somebody that really doing what he said he was going to do.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you guys haven't heard of him. Because he's been in all different kinds of
Wait,
magazines.
what's his name? I probably have.
Larry Krasner.
Oh, no, I haven't actually. Okay,
Yeah,
but I'll look.
He's been written in all magazines.
Krasner.
They've been interviewing him, and
Okay.
other statesmen talking about him.
Okay.
We had the first progressive DA.
Well, I've been kind of tuning out news, so.
Yeah, progressive DA. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
His wife is a judge. She sworn him in. I used to work at the same law firm where she worked at too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And it was a public interest law firm, nonprofit, to help citizens with issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, I'm going to end it here so that I can have the stamina to do a whole bunch more of these for the next 4 weeks. 5 weeks. So, all right. So thank you.
5 weeks till the election.
Yeah, 5 from Tuesday, I think, right? Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh, really? Just 5 weeks? That's all? Woo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Here it
That's
comes. So let's just hope for more, a higher voter turnout.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
I don't know if that's going to happen. Because the Democrats ain't got no message.
No, they don't. They don't.
Look at the other guy.
Yeah, right. It's the same thing. They're stuck on 26.
We got a better deal. Sound like Papa John's pizza.
Right. Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for coming. It's always good to talk to all of you.
Same here.
Okay. All right.
2020.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We'll have Yang soon, too. We'll have to talk to him. Okay, cool. All right. No. Okay. Good night, everybody.